Welcome to my budget deck channel, where I usually try to make decks as cheap and playable as possible. So if this is something you'd be interested in, then why not subscribe? Today with the new released pack, and I have to say this one might be an interesting one. I'll go through all of the cards. I might have an opinion on some of them not really, because I've never really seen them before in my life. And at the end, I will be hopefully saying if you should be buying this pack or not, mainly from a budget player's perspective, but also in general, how good is this pack? And we will be finding that out in a second. We have some Utopia stuff in here, not all that much, it's like 2 cards I think, and some of the old cards. And this is one of those ones where if you special summon it, you can target a number Xyz and revive it, then you can revive this card, and since this card's effect triggers on being special summoned, so if it's special summoned itself from the graveyard, you can do the same kind of thing again. And it's kind of like for a deck that tries to be a bit more control-y, but with Xyz monsters. It's not like really a crazy card or anything. There might be or will be eventually something that you can do with this that can be strong. But right now, I don't know, like you don't really need to open the pack to get into this card, because this will maximum be a one-off, I can assume. So yeah, let me know in the comments if there's some crazy deck that really utilizes this card. I have not come across one ever, not heard of one anyway, but I'm pretty sure there's some shenanigans you can do with that one. We have Odd Eyes Rebellion, Xyz Dragon, a card that's like most of these Odd Eyes specific Xyz pendulums and whatnots, not all that amazing. It's decent, it's okay, you can play it, it's not that bad. You can attach materials to it from the graveyards, you can special summon it from the pendulum zone, you can pendulum summon it from the extra deck, and you have lots of different things with this. You can get rid of some stuff on the board, but overall I don't think, like, there will be decks where you can play it, of course, but it's not like necessarily a card that you have to get in this specific pack, in my personal opinion. But it's definitely not a bad one as well, because you can get rid of 2 monsters here and there, and yeah, it's not terrible for that, especially because we kind of lack good rank 7s. But here's the catch. The catch is you need 2 level 7 pendulum monsters, so any normal deck this still does nothing for, so there's that limitation anyway. We have Ultimate Great Insect, a card that at the start I want to kind of dismiss very quickly, but I think this card isn't too bad as a one-off in certain insect decks. Pretty sure you can do some fun stuff with it, and will give certain, well, more fun-oriented insect builds potentially a bit of a boost having this card in your extra deck. But obviously it's not going to be game-breaking or anything. It's just a card that can be doing something that's not too bad. But you need a card in your field zone for it. And what card in your field zone that supports insect stuff can you think of? Yes, a Giant Ballpark. If we ever get a good searcher for it, if we don't already have one, but I don't think we do, then this might be something that can be quite fun to play. At this point, it's just, yeah, I can see its usage, but also, I don't know, there is the other insect deck that was meant to be good, that has a field spell, but they did not turn out to be all that great. They were okay when they came out, but have been dropped fairly quickly. And yeah, we move on to Dark Magician, one of the fan favorites, I would say. It still is. Not sure if this card will be, this card's like playable-ish, but also it's like one of these classic, oh yeah, piercing damage in the year of 2023. Not sure if that's what we've been looking for. Yeah, you can do some battle shenanigans. These cards usually never tend to be too meta relevant anyway, and also never too good. The last effect, like, yes, it's nice that when any of your monster destroys an opponent's monster in battle, you can inflict the damage that can potentially help you finish games quicker with things like Dark Magician. But they already have that ritual card that, or the other fusion that can help you get into OTKs from time to time, so not sure if this was needed. And yes, if this card is destroyed, you can special summon Dark Magician and Gaia, the Dragon Champion, from a hand, deck, extra deck, or graveyard. So theoretically there's different versions that you can be playing. Now I might look into this, since both of them, the Gaia deck and the Dark Magician, the stuff is well, they're structure decks, so I don't really, or you don't really have to spend that much on it besides some gems. So potentially there's something I'm going to be doing with this eventually, but then I would have to include this card as well, and this card isn't part of the structure deck, so we'll have to see. But also, still, we're still in the territory of one-offs here, and this would be no exception. We have Black Luster Soldier, Legendary Swordsman. And this is a card, at one point I read the effect, I was like, oh yeah, this card's very good. And then I looked at it again, it's like, I don't think this card is going to be doing all that much. Yes, you can search it because it mentions the thing in here. I think that's how it works. and it must be ritual summon during your draw phase. Before you draw, you can reveal this card in your hand, give you up your normal draw, and get one ritual spell. That's nice, but a lot of the time you don't really want to get to your draw phase. I mean, it's cool if you have it in your hand, and then you try to go second with this kind of deck anyway, and this can be nice. But I don't think it's necessary, this effect. And yes, we have the other effect, your opponent can't activate cards during battle phase, can be really nice. If you have a nice way of getting this card out, and then your opponent can't respond to it for some reason, but they only can in the battle phase, I don't know, bit weird, but yeah. Who knows what Konami was thinking with this one. And when this attacking card that was ritual summon using a normal monster destroys an opponent's monster in battle, you can shuffle all cards in your opponent controls into the deck. Sounds like a very powerful effect, but let's be honest, we have seen these kind of effects on some of the Neos fusion stuff as well, and have they ever been relevant? I don't think so. I don't think this card is like a lot easier to summon than the Neo stuff, so potentially in some go second decks you can be playing this card if you're really into Blackluster Soldiers. Like, it's not a bad card, but it's also not going to be a very crazy card. But I assume you would be running more than one of it. I assume. I'm not 100% sure how that would be turning out in the end. We have Obelisk the Tormentor here, an old card that I don't have to say much. So if you want to be playing Obelisk decks, you probably need more than one. We have Red Eye Soul in here, a card that I actually like. The effect is quite nice. It gives you a bit of option of going second. It can be doing something going first, but it's mainly for that first effect, in my personal opinion. Special summoning something from your deck is always nice, and knowingly it's an ultra rare, so very uninteresting for me, because Red Eyes become kind of expensive at that point for the fact of they don't really do all that much. We have Pharaonic Advent, a card that I would have really loved to see at a lower rarity, not as an ultra rare, because this card is like so janky, but it can be used for so many weird things, and I kind of wanted to try it, but I'm not going to be using it for an ultra rare. I'm not building a strategy where this card fits in investing 3 ultra rare tickets. Sorry Konami, but that's not going to happen. I feel like it's always sad because these kind of cards could have seen some play in certain decks, but as an ultra rare I don't think many people would even build like a fun deck around it, because that's just wasting your points at this point. But it can, if there's really good continuous traps that you really want, this isn't too hard to play. Like, it is playable, you just have to tribute one monster and then have another monster on board, basically, that is fairy, fiend, or reptile, and then you can add one continuous trap from your deck to your hand, and you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn. So it has to be like a control deck that only wants to be playing this counter trap, and that not counter trap, that continuous trap, and that runs fairy, fiend, or reptile monsters. So good luck with that, I guess. We have Ice Revolution Dragon here, also an old one. Not a bad pickup if you're into pendulum decks. Other than that, not really necessary. Shadow's Light is the first probably ultra rare that you kind of need to pick up 3 of, if I'm not mistaken, if you want to be playing it, because the effect is just a bit bonkers actually. If you use it in a very specific deck where that comes up, then being able to special summon something from your deck and getting an extra normal summon is definitely something you want to be doing. Obviously very specific, there's only very few decks that can utilize this card, so it's not as generic as certain other generic staples, but it's definitely not a bad card. It needs like some setup, but not the most, and there will be decks that will be able to use this card very well, but not sure if it's worth opening the pack just for this one. We have the Breaking Ruin God. Of course this had to be an ultra rare as well, because people love the God card, so there we go. Very annoying. Does some stuff for Obelisk, it's okay, like it's not a bad card at anything, but I hate that it's an ultra rare. We have Golden Rule, a card that's very, very, very decent for Crystal Beasts, if I'm not mistaken. Like, it sounds quite nice, but you have to have like some setup in the means of you have to have a Crystal Beast in your hand or in your graveyard, with which can be problematic from time to time, because you don't really want to be running that many Crystal Beast monsters. Actually, kind of want to be searching them, special summoning them, but you will be having some in your hand or graveyard at one point, so not too bad if you want to be playing Crystal Beast. I think this card would be an inclusion. I've tried Crystal Beasts, I like them, but I'm not sure if this card is like, it's good, but I don't know what exactly how many I would be running off that one. We have duality in here. You contribute one light or dark monster and special summon one light or dark monster from your hand or extra deck with the same original type level but different original attributes. So it gets this whole chaos theme going, and of course it's another ultra rare, so if you want to be playing chaos, very, very annoying. And then this card also recycles stuff, draws you things, so not a bad card in general. It replaces itself basically, and you can do it during the same main phase. It's not you can't use it when it's sent to the graveyard, you can just use it during the same one, which is also nice. We have Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid, an OTK monster for certain like Cybers decks, I guess. It's okay. It's I don't know, I don't love it, but it's also not too bad because it can send stuff to the graveyard, and this can probably be used for something insane at one, if not now, then at one point. So we'll always have to wait, watch out for any foolish effects that you can easily get out from the extract. Well, easily, so link 5, but you know what I mean. We have Ascendant Nightingale in here, a card that you could have picked up already beforehand because it's not new. Same for Utopia Double. Raijin the Breakbolt Star. I'm not even going to say anything to this card. Like, I don't know. I don't know what this card is meant to be doing, so there's that. Night Express Knight. That card's in here for some reason, I guess. We have Red Eyes Black Meteor Dragon. It's okay. It's okay. It's Red Eyes stuff. I don't expect Red Eyes to ever be amazing. It's a level 6 monster as well, so that's quite fun. We have Rocket Coder in here, a card theoretically that's trying to combine Rockets and the Coder deck. Not really, because I don't think there's any similarities between these decks whatsoever, because Dragon and Cybers. But I guess this card's probably from the anime, and you can play this in like either deck theoretically. If it's good or not, I'm not so sure, but it is a card and it's a super rare for some reason, so there's that. So I don't think I'll ever be seeing more play than potentially as a one-off, because sometimes there might be some usage for the whole Cybers and Dragon kind of thing. We have a new addition to DDD, lots of text, Pendulum Monster of course. Oops, this card has some effects, but yeah, mainly attack boosty kind of stuff, but also like different, I don't know, all of these Sovereign Emperor, whatever things can be nice, but also can be a bit gimmicky from time to time. Advanced Virtual Art is a very good card, of course, and works somewhat well with the whole Black Luster Soldier. And Red Eyes Fusion in here, the card that is kind of very strong, but also not, because we don't have Dragoon, so it doesn't really matter all that much. We have Rainbow Bridge in here, because why not? There's one other card in here that mentions Crystal Beast, so why not put another Crystal Beast card in here? I guess it's so you can gain access to the secret pack more easily if you want to go into this pack, so there is that. Bazaar Rose Shoot, okay, Rose Dragon card is in here as well, why not? Overlay Network, one of the other cards that I was chatting about, that kind of seems like it's meant to be for some grindy Xyz decks. And don't get me wrong, like the card effect itself already isn't too bad, and if you can do this like every single turn, it's not like bad, but I think it needs to stay on the field for like 2 or 3 turns for it to like really pay off. Well, in the end, gains you cards back, so it's not awful. Like, I'm pretty sure you could be playing this in certain decks, but I don't think you should be opening this pack for this specific one. Also a card that I think would have seen more play if it wasn't a super rare, but it is what it is. And then we have the Arc 5 anime cards with all the Serena, Yuzu, whatever they're called, all the foregrounds together. And yeah, the effect is of course a bit lackluster. Yes, you can search like Polly in the end phase, but I'm not sure that's going to be played. But I find it interesting. Annoying that it's super rare again. Potentially someone would have been playing this if it wasn't, but like this, don't think so. We have Gravekeeper's Inscription in here, a card that actually might be seen play in certain formats potentially. I think we hopefully are kind of on the way out of the tier limit format with the newest ban list. We shall find out. But you also need to play can banish cards from the graveyard, can be somewhat interesting. Yeah, it's a floodgatey kind of card. It's basically, if you don't want to be running Abyss Dweller in the extra deck, then you can run it in the main deck, and it's, I don't know, yeah, that's what it is. But it's a Gravekeeper card, so there is that one. We have a Soul Energy Max, another card at higher rarity that supports Obelisk, because this deck wasn't expensive enough, so we have that one now too. And one of the cards that I really wish wasn't a super rare, because I would have abused the crap out of this. Not abused in the sense of it's not like game breaking or anything, but it's quite cool, and it supports the playstyle of summoning the trap monster, so I felt like potentially this was quite good. And this is a card that then I guess kind of would work with the whole theme of the other cards that searches continuous traps, because this is a reptile monster as well, so you can go with this kind of shenanigans. Not bad cards because you can negate other cards, face-up cards your opponent controls. So yeah, sadly only until the end of the turn, but imagine if it wasn't, that would be actually kind of bonkers. Like this, it's definitely like not a bad card, but then you think about it again, and how often do you have the scenario where on one activation you want to negate multiple different cards at the same time? It's the whole thing of I think Dark Magician has a card like that negates like all cards for some on the field at this time, which on a trap card doesn't really make all that much sense a lot of the time, because you usually react to something and then you stop that one effect, but why do you care about stopping any other effects that are also on the board at this point? So I'm not sure this card is like as good as it reads, but I like that they are still trying to make this whole continuous trap monster style, giving it new cards and actually supporting the playstyle a little bit. And that's that. We have some newly added cards down here as well. We have some like clear-sighted Guardian, we have some of that kind of stuff. We have Lamia in here, we have some of the other ones. Chronicle Sorceress is in here, that's somewhat interesting for some people, it might be. We have Burning Dragon in here. There's some cards that really important. Clockwork Knight, a card that I would have assumed was a super rare, but it's not. Clockwork Knight, obviously you don't have to open the pack for this, but I really like mentioning this card because this card can be somewhat neat. But with Foolish Burial Goods sadly being limited, this one isn't as good anymore. Used to be a tiny bit better, but yeah, you can search Earth Machine Monsters with this one. Woohoo! I think it makes, theoretically was meant to be making that one FTK a bit more useful with the Morphtronic stuff, but yeah. We have Evolution End Burst in here for some Overlord stuff. We have Xyz Line in here. That's also like, I don't know. I don't want to say anything about this card. More of the some Viper stuff, more of the continuous traps and whatnots. We have plenty of things in here that can be coming in handy. We have some Todoroki, the Earth Bolt Star. We have more of these star cards now. That's kind of missing. Before I think they only had the fusion monsters, now we get some main deck monsters for it. Not too crazy. Rose Shaman is in here, so that maybe will explain the other Rose cards that is in here. Duel Tower is in here as a new card. Interesting. Also we have Battle Royale mode joining. I find this quite funny because it's also like lots of ArcV anime stuff. Additional Mirror level 7. Okay. Yeah, this pack has some interesting cards in these slots, definitely, like interesting. Obviously nothing that you want to be opening this pack for, but definitely cards that it can be worth reading because they theoretically might be coming up in certain decks as well. Okay, what do I think of the pack? Should you buy this? And honestly, I wouldn't know for what. Like, yes, if you want to be playing Chaos, potentially, but anything else kind of feels more like you should be crafting the cards. Like, I don't really see why you want to be opening this pack in the slightest. Most of the expensive cards you only want one-offs, or there's only one card in here anyway that supports that playstyle, so you might as well craft it before you like sink so much money into this pack. So I don't really see the appeal at all. I like that all of these cards made it into the game, but with this pack it kind of seems like even Konami is aware that people will not be spending gems on this. So yeah, it is like that. I don't think it's a good pack in that sense. I'm glad some of the cards are in the game, but I don't think it's worth buying this pack over just crafting the cards, like, ever. Literally just open up any other pack of like any other deck that you're slightly interested in, and then uncraft some stuff and just craft these cards from it. Honestly, it's probably going to be worth more than opening this pack. Sorry to say. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, but most importantly, I hope you have a nice day.